Okay, so welcome to part 1 in the 2-part Marder 3 series. I would like to thank my patrons for the donations that led to this kit being bought. If you would like to contribute, there's a link in the description. It's patreon.com/3dscale. So let's talk about this Marder. I'm going to speed up the construction quite a bit because I don't want to dwell on it too much, but I would like to show it because I like doing this part. Multi-part tub. That's really about all there is to say about the early parts of this. It goes together really well. There wasn't any issues with it lining up. I will apologize for some of the filming. Like this part here looks okay, but later on I get to the point where I'm almost always partially off screen, and my apologies. It's been a long time since I've done this, and I'm kind of trying to get good at it again. The suspension of this is incredibly similar to the way the Academy Hetzer I did went. Really easy to get it flat because they lock right into those leaf springs. Now this stuff, there's an error here, and I don't know if it shows up on camera, but one of these sprockets, even though it's keyed, I glued it together and the teeth did not match up, and it caused me probably 3 days worth of delays. Tried to crack it back apart, but it actually started breaking, so I actually just had to sand the teeth. The 2-part gun barrel, I do my best on these. If you look at my stuff up close, it's not going to be as good as some people. I'm just not that good at it, but it works okay. This whole top gun assembly thing was really well done. I thought it worked out really well. This part, not so much. There's actually always a big gap on the bottom of it. But the majority of this goes together really, really impressively. And even for the 90s kit that this is, Tamiya did a really good job engineering their guns. See, here's where I'm getting kind of close to being off screen. I think that filming this didn't go that bad. Now there is a major error here coming up. So right here, you should not put glue there. What I did was just glue that plate there, which means the gun could not elevate. So later on I had to go back in and get a hobby knife between those 2 plates that I just glued together and pry it off. And it miraculously worked really well. The really surprising part about this was that the multiple plates that make up the gun shield and the things that hold them on all go on perfectly. They line up perfectly so like right there, that little support that sticks out. The way that it's keyed, it sits perfectly, and then when you bring the other part of the shield on, it sits perfectly, and you never run into that with models, so it's just so tidy. Yeah, that was, I think, just one night I just sat down and did the whole top of the whole gun section. So here's an alteration I'm making. I did not use the kit tracks. These are an old DML Dragon thing called the Standard Suspension for 38T, and I got it off eBay, and they didn't fit the sprocket very well. They're a little bulky compared to like Magic Tracks, and you have to clean them up. But I did eventually get them on. I didn't film much of it because it was a huge pain. In the end, doing the method that I was doing there didn't work that well, so I ended up breaking them into smaller pieces and doing it that way. But I think in the end, the upgrade to the tracks is worth it. All this stuff is pretty well engineered, all of the upper hull stuff. I didn't like the giant holes in the fenders. Now I did upgrade all the tools, which you'll see in a minute. So there's the first one. You can see there's a 3D printed clamp on there from Zavod 3D on Shapeways. I couldn't figure out where to put one on that pickaxe there, so I just didn't put one on. Another old trick of mine. Cut off the top of the hammer, had to do that to slide the clamp on because there was a locator peg on the other end. Dragon fire extinguisher. I just like the Dragon stuff better. Not their marketing policies or the way their company's been handled, but the fidelity of their molds is legit. Now there's the first version of the wire cutters that I use. You can see that's just the Tamiya part with the 3D clamp. There's the axe with it. I eventually had to alter that because I didn't like the way the wire cutters looked, and I cut off the front of it, used the dragon part. This towing pintle right there is actually crooked. I didn't realize that till after I had gone back and painting. This stuff's a little strange the way it goes together, but it's pretty quick. Alright, so finally getting the upper hull on, still using extra thin. No Revell contacta here. All of this stuff that I filmed, by the way, was within a few days. It was only the tracks that really held me up. And only because I chose to upgrade them. Again, slightly off camera, my apologies. Lots of ammo stowage on this thing. Mostly empty. I think they give you like 6 pieces to represent rounds that are in there. They'd also give you some shell casings that I don't have on the model yet. This thing looks pretty good for plastic. I can imagine people replacing it with metal parts. I think Dragon does that, but this one looked good. No grill over that either. I think there should be, but you can't see it once that cage is there, so I don't really mind. There's also a lot of cutting away of things that wouldn't go correctly if you didn't know that about these videos. I put the chairs sitting that way because I didn't like the way they looked hanging off the side. I wish I would have left one of these open. They actually look pretty interesting, but you had to cut them to alter them to have them open. And these antennas. There's the rounds that are actually in the stowage. Alright, so we're putting the gun on. I'd like to thank Weiss for allowing me to use their music in this video, and I will be back with part 2. Thanks for watching.